Hey everyone, it's Paulie here from HardDrive Radio, and joining me in the studio today is Matt Bigland from Dinosaur Pile-Up. It's good to see you again, man.
Dude, you too.
Welcome back.
Be here.
Yeah, glad to have you here. First of all, I mean, it's been a little while since we saw you last time you guys came out here. It was right on the cusp of the release of Celebrity Mansions. Mm-hmm. So it's a new year. How were your holidays, and how did you celebrate the new year?
Well, we took the holidays pretty chill, because obviously just before mid-year we did that enormous US tour with Shinedown, and then we went straight into our own headline. So that was like 10 and a half weeks on the road, which was pretty brutal, and it was great. After that, we got home for a minute, and then we skipped out to Canada with Offspring and Sum 41, which was rad. That was a great experience. Like, we've obviously dipped into Canada before, usually just Toronto, but obviously doing the entirety of Canada, obviously with those bands as well, it was killer. Then we got home, like straight off the back of that, we flew into the UK, did a little UK tour, then did a little Ireland tour, and then that took us right up to Christmas. So for the holidays, all of us just kind of like disappeared for a week or so, you know, and hung out, which was great. And now we're back in the new year. I'm kind of busy writing and stuff and getting ideas going. And obviously we come out to the US in April, I think.
Yeah. Tell me about the Offspring tour, because those guys are a hoot. Did you get to hang with them at all? Have a good time?
Yeah, that was actually rad. Like, we know Pete, who drums in the Offspring, pretty well, and he's been trying to hook us up so we can like tour together for ages, and it just hasn't been able to happen, I guess. And then obviously that tour came through, and we were stoked. But like, touring with a band like the Offspring, like, obviously we know we're good friends with Pete, but we hadn't met the other guys, and like, we kind of wanted to give them space. Like, we're a very respectful group of people, so we're never going to bust into anyone's dressing room and like, what's up, like, we're never going to do that. So we were kind of kicking it on the first night, and we were like, I guess, we've played, they've played, I guess maybe we should just roll or something. And then we get a text from I can't remember who texted us, but they were like, our room right now, let's hang. Like, first night. And we were like, whoa, that's killer. So we went and met all of those guys, all their crew. Like, it was just a blast. Like, obviously someone like Noodles is like a legend, and he's been doing it for a long time, and he's just the nicest dude. Like, all he wants to do is kick it with a beer and just talk about stuff. So that was pretty surreal to begin with, like hanging out with Noodles and hanging out with all those guys. But then by the end of the tour, it was just kind of commonplace, which was amazing. Like, we felt very comfortable around them. Same with Sum 41, like those guys are freaking awesome. And it was just good hangs,
On the opposite end of that, you don't have to name names, but have you ever toured with a band who were just like total dicks?
Yeah, we don't come across total dicks regularly. There's only been a few times where we've toured with people where we're just like, you're just a douchebag. Like, for some reason your position, like you being in a band, like you feel entitled to just be an asshole. But that doesn't happen very often, which I'm thankful for. Like, we're really lucky in the fact that we've been lucky enough to just tour with people that are just good people. Or maybe most people in bands are good people because they've struggled with it or whatever. Like, obviously Shinedown, for an example, is just amazing people. So like, for the most part, we've just toured with awesome people. We've made like lifelong friends out of it, but very occasionally we'll meet someone that's just like, dude, like, you have lost perspective. But whatever. It's
true. I mean, I think I can count on one hand the number of assholes I've met doing this gig. Everyone, I guess maybe it's just a side effect of being like adjacent to a very creative community. I feel like most artists are really very nice people.
Yeah, so. Like unconfrontational people, like, it's some, ego is a weird thing. And like, for the most part, like great people, like all the, great bands we've toured with and stuff, they don't really have an ego. They're just good people. But it's when someone has an ego and they think they're the shit, that's where their perspective kind of gets a bit skewed, which sucks. Like, I don't think nobody is entitled to be a dick, like in whatever profession, but particularly being in a band. Just no one has the right to do that.
So how do you keep your ego in check?
I don't really have an ego. In fact, I'm the opposite. I'm kind of like, most of the time I'm like freaking out about, you know, being there or whatever.
I mean, it was a joke question. I feel like I've talked to you enough times where I know you're like one of the nicest human beings ever. Nice. So I really appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. The new single from you guys, it's you know, the album's out, so people have heard the song already, but we're playing it on radio for the first time. It's a song called Round the Bend.
Yes.
You played it for us last time you were here. It was beautiful. It was an amazing song.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit of history on that song and how it came together.
So Round the Bend, I remember writing that, and I really dug something about when the chorus hits and that sort of, I don't know, the feeling that I got from the chorus was just like really sad in a like simple and sort of beautiful way. And I was really stoked on that. I actually remember calling my mum because I couldn't get the like sort of second half of how I worded the lines for like weeks. So I had the whole thing, I just couldn't get these fucking 2 lines. And I remember calling mum being like, she was like, how are you and stuff? And I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm working the song that I'm really excited about. I just can't get these 2 lines. Like, so she kept on calling me like kind of every couple of days being like, have you got them yet? Like, yeah, I don't know.
No pressure.
Yeah. I guess like Round the Bend is about, like, it's about, you know, at the time I wrote it, you know, in fact, the whole period of time before Celebrity Mansions kind of came together was a pretty scary time for the band and for me personally, just because we didn't know if it was going to come off, I guess. We were going into that period of time, or going into making the record and everything without a record label, without anything really. So we were kind of like, in a way, we were like, this is make or break. Like, if no one really cares about this, then, you know, we could be done. And that was pretty brutal to think about. So Round the Bend was kind of about just sort of like me personally sort of being pushed to my limit of like, you know, believing in yourself that you can do something. Like I'd kind of reached that point where I was like, fuck, I don't know if this is actually going to happen. Like, maybe I can't do this, you know? So Round the Bend was like about that pressure sort of pushing you like a bit, you know, over the edge or whatever. And luckily, I guess when people heard the record, they were stoked on it.
This is one of those songs on the album where there's a part of it that's kind of taken from those original demos that you had recorded before. And, you know, we talked about this in the last interview, but maybe we can kind of go over it again about why you decided to keep those parts in.
Yeah. I mean, I love stuff like that in songs where like it dips out of the big recording, or like you hear just little nuggets of like stuff that you're like, what is that? Or like, where did that come from? Or who's that talking or whatever. I just love stuff like that. But I also, particularly with that bit in Round the Bend where it skips back to the original demo, I just liked like showing that kind of vulnerability, because often before a song is like done, it is just this like weird little vulnerable piece of music or an idea that so easily could not become anything. So it kind of, I got stoked on that one bit in Round the Bend because obviously the album had like been created, the song had been recorded, like it was gonna become something, but I still like, for me, I can always remember like how stuff began. So I just wanted to like have that as a little kind of like marker, I guess. You
know, I've been to your YouTube channel. You guys don't put a lot of videos out, but are you working on a music video for Round the Bend?
Yeah, so we're actually working on a cool music video for Round the Bend. So often like I'll like visualize ideas when I'm writing them or whatever. And for Round the Bend, I always had this really strong idea about like, I don't want to give too much away because obviously I want people to watch it, but like this kind of crazy cinematic, like, I don't know, like miniature movie or whatever. So when, like I had the label and management being like, we're going to do a video for Round the Bend, like, do you have any ideas? I kind of almost didn't mention my idea because I was like, there's just no way we'd be able to make that. Like, it's like a little movie. And that would cost a ton of money to make, and obviously like that's just not going to happen. But I was like, whatever. I was like, I don't know, like, let's get some ideas thrown in. But by the way, I had this idea like a long time ago, and I explained that idea really briefly, but kind of really briefly, because I almost was certain that everyone would come back and be like, yeah, we're not doing that. And I sent it, and then literally like 2 minutes later, I had management like email back and be like, this is awesome. Like, I love this idea. And I was stoked. So the way we got around being able to create that, because if we'd have filmed it would have been like 200 grand on this beautiful movie. Damn. Yeah. So we were like, why don't we animate it? Because then anything that you imagine, you can kind of just animate. Like, so anyway, so we ended up making this amazing animation of that idea, that journey or whatever, and it's killer. Like, came out really well. I'm really excited about it.
I'm really surprised to hear that it's animated, because thinking back, maybe like 80s and 90s, animation was really expensive, but I guess with computers these days, it can be done a lot cheaper.
Yeah, totally. And I was like, how am I going to have like cop cars flipping over and exploding, and like a car jumping off a cliff and stuff? Like, how are we ever going to make that? So animation was kind of like the door to being like, well, we could just draw it. Is
making music videos and something that you enjoy doing? Is that something you'd maybe want a bigger hand in the future?
Yeah, I love that. Like, obviously I grew up watching MTV. Like, I was all about music videos, and I still think about them a lot. And like I said, like whenever I write a song, I kind of visualize that. And I used to spend like hours listening on my CD player in the back of the car to all my favorite records, and I'd just like visualize videos to those songs and all of that. So yeah, like I always want to make a video for everything, really. And I love writing those ideas. I love being part of the process. Like, I also love film sets. Like, I love being on music video sets and film sets and stuff like that. So that whole kind of side of making music a visual thing, like, gets me pumped.
That's refreshing. I mean, I've talked to a couple of bands, and maybe the legacy bands that have shot hundreds of videos at this point, they're just kind of over the whole experience.
Yeah.
So I like to hear that somebody's still enjoying it.
Well, I mean, that kind of sucks. So maybe I'm still enjoying it because I haven't had the opportunity to do loads, and I'm not. I get nervous in front of a camera big time. Like, I'm still trying to master like being comfortable in front of a camera. So that kind of messes me up.
And you seem so loose right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. Particularly on a music video, I guess. Like, now we're just chatting and it's chill, but like on a music video, you have to be something. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, I have all these ideas, and I'm like, that's cool. And then when it comes to it, I'm like, oh shit, I've actually got to be that guy that I've like this whole thing is built around. So that's, for me, is still something I'm kind of learning how to do. But that doesn't mean I don't want to do it. If we had the opportunity to make loads of videos and kind of play everything out visually, I would take it.
Is it a different experience doing something in front of a camera than it is just stepping out on a stage in front of a live audience? Because to me, that would be the harrowing thing. Cameras would be easy.
Yeah, I think it is. I don't know why I find cameras so weird, but like, I don't know. When you walk out on stage, like I said, I still get nervous about that. But like, when you walk out on stage, you're like, well, I'm doing it. It is what it is. But when you're like filming something, I don't know, it's weird things. Like, there's usually a lot of people behind the camera all staring at you, and it's stuff like that. Yeah, not these guys. Like, on a music video, there's like 30 people behind the camera all like watching your every move and stuff, and like, that's something I'm still getting used to. Like, I guess I've never been amazingly comfortable with being the center of attention in that respect.
It's a good thing you chose a profession where you don't have to deal with
that.
Yeah. So you've been playing these songs on the road for almost a year now. Album came out in June. How have they grown for you? Do you still feel about them the same way that you felt when you first recorded them? And what kind of feedback have you gotten from your fans?
Yeah, I mean, the reaction particularly to this record has been absolutely incredible. Everyone was so stoked about like what we'd created. Everyone was so stoked about the kind of energy that we'd put on the record. So for us, we just noted this, like we noticed this massive, like kind of just huge pickup of like engagement and like people messaging us and being like, this is fucking killer. Like they were just stoked on what we'd made, you know? So we were like just pumped on that. That we've strengthened that connection, I guess. And for us, we love the record so much, and it was kind of like exactly what we've kind of wanted to make for years. We just never quite made it, and then with Celebrity, we kind of did it.
Now, I know you're one of those guys who are always kind of, writing, and you said you were writing before. Are you like seriously working on a new crop of songs already, or is it just the thing that you do?
I'm always kind of working on stuff, so like I kind of don't like stop really in that sense. But I think what I'm sort of beginning to work on now will probably end up being some of the next record for sure. Like I love writing songs so much, I never really stopped doing it, but now I feel like in a place to be sort of working on the next one.
What are your thoughts on, maybe the changing tides in the record industry? And, it always used to be, you record 12, 13 songs, you put out an album. A lot more people these days are kind of experimenting with put out singles and EPs and things in between to kind of keep the flow of music going. And the way you write songs constantly, would you consider maybe like putting out like a 4-song EP just to have something out there for
I would love
people
to
do?
Yeah, I'd love to do stuff like that. Or just like drop like singles or individual tracks and stuff like that. And obviously with things like Spotify now, we're able to do that. So yeah, I would love to do stuff like that. Like even if it's like exclusives for whatever, or dropping a single here and there, like I'm down. I kind of, Spotify's a weird one. Loads of people have negative things to say about the streaming thing. Loads of people have positive things to say about it. But the one thing I do love about it is the fact that you could just, if you record a song and you're like, I'm going to put this out, you literally can. So I think that freedom to just release music is killer.
I don't think anybody would argue about the accessibility that Spotify gives you. I think it's really just the paychecks that everyone kind of gripes about.
Yeah, totally.
You got your 40-cent check for your 1,000 streams or whatever it is.
When I look at the numbers, I'm like, dude, really? Like 10 million people listen to this. I've got $20, but whatever.
Buy music, please. It's important. Please. We're going to get to see you guys in the States in the spring. I know you got a bunch of festival shows lined up. Maybe give us a rundown on what's coming up.
I'm probably the worst person to ask, I'm not going to lie. I don't know, but I know that we're playing our biggest show to date in the UK at the Kentish Sound Forum on April 3rd, which I'm stoked about.
And you're headlining that show.
Yeah, we're headlining that.
That's freaking huge. That's a hometown show for you. You got to be stoked about that.
Yeah, and like we've played that venue hundreds of times supporting bigger bands. And it's like, this is like where big bands play, like real bands. And now we're headlining and we're like, oh, like that's pretty cool. So we played that show, and then a couple of weeks afterwards, we fly out to the States, doing a bunch of festivals. Off the top of my head, we're like doing Shaky Knees. I can't remember. I don't know.
It's all on the website. Yeah. You can find it there.
I never really know where I am or what I'm doing.
Well, let's go back to the O2 show. Because this is such a big and special show for you guys. Yeah. Are you planning anything special? Are you going to break out some deep cuts? Are you bringing any crazy stage production?
Yeah, probably. Like we're working on like a big lighting rig and like. We've got a few things up our sleeves for sure. We're just kind of working out what's possible and like, what we can do. But I think it's gonna be rad.
10 grand worth of pyro?
Oh yeah.
Yes. All right. Label's paying for that, right?
Yeah.
I think with a festival run like you guys have, you have maybe like 6-7 days off between each stop.
Yeah.
Are you looking at maybe doing shows in between, or are you just kind of like go across the country and take in the sights?
No, dude, we're going to get worked. I think we're going to be doing a bunch of headline shows in between or each weekend, like of the festival dates and stuff, which we're super excited about. So we'll be playing loads of shows everywhere. And then obviously on the weekends we'll be playing the festivals and stuff. Yeah.
This is not your first time playing festivals. You guys have played them before. I think I caught you guys at Rock on the Range maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah.
When 1111 was out.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy the festival experience? Is it something you like doing?
I love it. Yeah.
Why?
I think there's something kind of dangerous about festivals. I mean that in the kind of terms of like energy. Like they're like a bit dirtier, a bit freer. I just don't know. I grew up going to festivals. I've always loved that kind of vibe, and I love it even more now that I'm like playing at them instead of watching at them, So I don't know. they're just rad. Like, you turn up, hopefully it's sunny, you drink a couple of beers, go and play a show. I don't know. There's just something really fun about it. I can get pretty nervous before shows. Usually I'll always have a good time when it comes to the actual show, but like I still get nervous before shows and stuff. But with a festival, I'm usually just kind of pumped on stuff. Like, I don't know, it's something just funner about it.
Do you notice a difference in the energy of a crowd from like an American festival as opposed to like a UK or European festival?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, I have favorite festivals all around the world. So at those, the energy is always really good. But in general, US festivals are just killer. Like, there was a lot of rock fans in America, you know, maybe more than anywhere else in the world. So that for us is a trip, particularly like for Dinosaur, because we were always playing like alternative rock, like heavy rock, all of that, and often like we felt like there wasn't really like a place for us to play. Like in the UK there's a lot of indie music, like all of that, and we were like, oh, I don't know, that's not really our scene, and we're coming out and playing fucking riffs and no one else is, you know. So now we get to play in the US at big rock festivals. We're like, yeah, like this is where we're meant to be, and you know, so that's cool.
Good. Well, I'm glad you guys are coming back. It's always great to see you live. Matt Bigland, the band is Dinosaur Pile-Up. They'll be back in the States in the spring playing a bunch of festivals. Get out and see them. It's a damn good time. Matt, thank you so much, man.
Thanks, dude.